Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and this one is super special. It's with David Daniel Dan, and if you're in the barbecue world or you're following a lot of people on social media, you've seen him before, and you might not know much about him. And I was kind of the same way until I got to know him better, and I'm super glad that he sat down to share his story. The story involves Romania, California, Texas, the military, Iraq, Skylight Inn, Rodney Scott's, just to name a few. He is super into whole hog cooking. He does blend his Romanian influences into his cooking and into his food. He does events. That's probably the best place to get a chance to see him. But we talk about why whole hog cooking is so important to him, why direct heat cooking is so important to him. He mentioned off camera how he's really getting into lechon, and so he's deep diving into whole hog and different types of whole hog. We talked briefly about the Rosemeyer guys. This past New Year's at JBRM, they had a whole hog cook. He mentions them, but off camera and via email later on, he wanted to say how much he appreciated those guys, and how great those guys are. And I just recently interviewed them about 4 or 5 interviews ago. I'll put a link to their interview. They are spectacular guys and such cool guys. So again, shout out to Rosemeyer Barbecue in Spring, Texas. But this one's fantastic. I'm so happy he sat down to do a chat. You're going to love this. Sit back, relax, enjoy it. Make sure you stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad we finally got this together.
Yeah, me too.
It's taken a little while, but as time goes by, I always feel like there's a perfect moment for things or
Sure.
the right moment, and I think this is it.
Yeah,
And I
I
was tell
agree.
and I was as I was telling you, I've talked to other people about you, and they've all talked about how great it is to work with you, especially the guys over at Rosemeyer. They were talking that was a fun interview, and they had fun. It was New Year's that you guys. I think it was a New Year's thing, right, or something.
Yeah, New Year's at J Bar.
At J Bar, yeah. Is it Dan? Is it David Daniel Dan or
So yeah, it's so
sorry?
I was born David Daniel Dan, and then when I got my citizenship, they mixed up my first and middle. So legally now everything is Daniel David Dan. And so when I went to check the paperwork, they were like, check the paperwork, make sure it's correct. And I said, no, it's not. And I
Oh,
said, what do I need to do to switch it back? And they were like, oh, it's like $40 and this stack of paperwork. And I was like, well, we'll leave it at Daniel. So yeah, it's all the above, anything with the D really, but yeah, I go by David.
okay, you about David. Okay, that's what I thought you did, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay, all right. Well, that's I'm glad that's out of the because I have even asked some people. They're like, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's Daniel David. Okay,
Yeah, I know. It's
David.
definitely a tongue twister.
David's an easy name. And so were you born in Europe or were you born back there? Okay, okay. So let's talk about your journey and your journey to barbecue. Where were you born?
Yeah, so I was born in Romania. I was born in Romania in 1983. My parents left in 1984 when I was a year old,
Oh,
and they were doing so because of communism. It was getting rough at the time. They were waiting in lines. They had no running water. They were waiting for food.
wow.
It was a mess.
Like true communism, how we were all told as kids that this is what it
Yeah,
was like. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
that
man,
was it.
that's
So
crazy too. So they were born and raised in Romania.
yeah, yeah. Well, I'm first generation. I'm actually, yeah, first generation American, I guess. Or I don't know if that's considered first generation if you're born there, but
I think you
um,
were young enough, right, that you would be first
yeah,
generation here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But all my family's from there. Yeah.
Do you still have family back there?
So all my immediate family came here. I still have some like distant relatives there that I don't really talk to regularly, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've got people there if I needed to talk or visit or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is not a history podcast and it's at all, but is it did Romania become part of the Soviet is it or is it still they're their own entity, right?
Yeah, they
They
were
pulled
their own.
back, right? During
They're part
the
of the EU now. They joined the EU, but yeah, prior to that, they were just their own thing.
Have you visited since?
Yeah, I've been back 3 times. It was beautiful. Like the only good thing about communism was it really preserved the land. So
Okay,
it didn't go in there and exploit everything, every mineral and everything out of it. So it's a gorgeous country. But that's changing now. Now that they're in the EU, people are coming in and buying it up and doing all sorts of things to it. But yeah,
gotcha.
it's lovely. I love it.
Yeah, and you're as I can tell from just from afar, you're very proud of your Romanian heritage.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because I you hear the story over and over, but growing up, you feel different. You're kind of embarrassed of it, you're kind of embarrassed to have your friends over at your house, but as you get older, you're just kind of like, hey, this is kind of cool. And one day my parents aren't going to be here to keep this legacy, and I've got to carry the torch. So yeah, I definitely have taken that upon my shoulders to kind of pass that down.
Isn't that funny? You wish that you had some of your adult knowledge when you were younger, just because then you could really appreciate and also make your parents proud that you're so proud that you're
Right, right.
because
Yeah,
being different is a big deal when you're younger.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not like badge of honor that it is when you're older, but
Right,
you don't realize that we're all the same and it's better to be different. So,
right.
definitely. Okay, so cool. So then did they move to the East Coast or they moved straight to Texas or how did they?
So they originally were going to go to, I think, North Dakota. And we
Wow.
had some kind of like family friend sponsor who was in California. And he was like, "What are you doing? Why are you going to North Dakota? It's nothing but snow there, you know?"
Like how
He's
would you
like,
know?
"Yeah." He's like, "You're leaving Romania. You're leaving that snow and that, that harsh winter. Like, why don't you come out to California? It's gorgeous here." So they just randomly changed their mind. We ended up in Southern California. I grew up in Orange County
Okay.
most of my life. Yeah, I was there till about 18.
We're in Orange County.
Westminster, California. I grew up in Little Saigon.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I know
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah,
then you were also somewhere where a lot of people had relocated from Asia. A lot of
yeah,
people had come there from different civil wars and things that were happening in their countries.
yeah. It's kind of crazy because as a kid, you don't really get to like dive into that with those kiddos, But as you get older and look back, you're just like, wow, there's a lot of similarities there. But at the time, the high school that I went to two high schools, but the first high school was Fountain Valley High School. It was kind of
Oh
a
yeah. I think I have friends that went there.
yeah, upper middle class, white,
Yeah.
And then I finished off at La Quinta High School, which was like 95% Vietnamese. And it was
Wow.
crazy to be the minority, like it was so weird.
Well, I didn't realize that Lakita was mostly Vietnamese. That's really
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, it's very California is a melting pot
yeah,
for sure.
oh yeah.
It really is. So but growing up in Orange County, the weather's wonderful. Did you have aspirations? Because and I looked at like from your Instagram bio, are you a pharmacist? Are you a
Yeah,
doctor? Okay. So
I'm a farmer.
was that the you want to become a doctor? Was that the or what's the path?
Every immigrant parent's goal for their kids. Our options were doctor or engineer.
Ah,
Um,
yes, of course.
yeah, so I was number two of five children. My
Okay.
older sister was, older sister. She was sharp as a tack, lawyer, UCLA, double major, 3 years, the
Great.
works. And then I was black sheep. I was number two. So I graduated high school with a 1.6 GPA.
Nice.
And yeah, and my dad's rule of the house was you had to go to a 4 year college or you're out. So I never wanted to join the military or anything, but I had a buddy who was joining the military. And I remember summer came, my dad woke me up and he's like, "What college are you in?" I was like, "Oh man, I haven't even applied." So I called my buddy and I was like, "Hey man, give me the number to the recruiter." And I called the recruiter and I said, "Hey, I need to go. I need to get out of
Wow.
here." And he was just like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold on, like pump your brakes. Do you want to say bye to family, friends?" I was like, "Nah, man, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get it done." So yeah, I ended up just going in the military. I really didn't have a path. Yeah, my dad didn't know how to guide us or teach us. He just knew like hit the books.
Yeah.
And there's a saying in Romanian, "Mănâncă cartea," which means like eat those books. Like you got to eat them, dude. You got to live in those books. So that's
That's
all he
cool.
would tell us.
Obviously, you were 18. So what year was that? That was in
2001, I graduated 2001.
2001. So we hadn't been, had we, was that Gulf War
And that was
Romania?
9/11. So I went
And
into
no,
boot
9/11
camp.
was 2000. Gosh, that's so weird. It's a
Yeah.
time is straight. Okay, yeah, yeah. That is
Yeah. I went
time.
into boot camp and 9/11 happened. And I was just like, God, man, dude.
Because
Yeah. I was like,
you go to
right.
boot camp thinking, yeah, I'm gonna be like, yeah, here for whatever years, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. I was like, I'm doing my four and I'm getting out,
yeah.
And that happened. I was like, here we go. I was just like, I hope I'm okay. I didn't go into the Marines or Army. I went into the Navy just because that's what my buddy was doing. I was 6 miles from the beach, so I was just a little beach rat myself. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna be by the water. That's what I wanted to do. And yeah, I joined the Navy, and I was like, okay, well, I think I'll be okay. Like, I don't think they're gonna send me off anywhere.
Did they?
I went to Kuwait. I went to the Persian Gulf. I went places around there. I was attached to a hovercraft unit.
Oh
I
wow.
was special programs. So we did a little bit, some stuff that most people didn't do in the Navy, but nothing too crazy. I didn't really see too much.
Were you down like then? I've seen hovercraft by Camp Pendleton and stuff. Is that where you were training
Yeah,
down there? Yeah.
that's where I was. Yeah, ACU 5. You see that wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was stationed.
Okay, it's pretty cool because I used to have to travel from like in the Orange. I was living in Long Beach, and then I'd go down to San Diego to open up cheese
Yeah,
shops and stuff. And I would see, training drills. There'd be helicopter flight over the air, like
yeah,
the freeway, and it would look
yeah,
like an invasion was happening
yeah.
during.
It's nuts. They do some hardcore stuff down there.
Yeah, but the hovercraft were really cool to see. That was just because it's such an interesting
Yeah.
device. It's a
Yeah,
piece
most
of
people
equipment.
I'll tell them like, yeah, I was stationed at a hovercraft unit, and they're just like, what's a hovercraft? And it's like, okay,
You're
let's
like
break it down.
near Area 51, and we use this alien technology.
Right,
Hovercraft.
right.
But
Yeah,
but it does sound it's something I like I think if kids watch G.I. Joe, they should know what a hovercraft is. I think
you
that
would
was
think so, man. You would think so, but I really have to explain it to a lot of people. I end
okay.
up just doing like a Google search and showing people pictures. I'm like, this is a
Yeah,
hovercraft.
yeah, yeah. And it's a cool thing. That's okay, interesting. Okay, well at least that's an interesting thing to have under your belt, and you didn't have to go to college. And from there, then did that kind of set your head straight? Did you learn other things that you take from that time in the military?
Yeah, so my time in the military taught me that I could do anything I wanted to. It was my first time really getting out into the world and kind of comparing myself to everybody and my skill set and my abilities and my drive and my wants, everything, right?
Yeah.
So I got out and I thought to myself, man, if I could do that, I could do anything I want. I could put my mind to anything and I could achieve it. And so that's, I think, the greatest gift the military gave me. Afterwards, I got out and I went and worked overseas as a contractor for a few years in Qatar and Iraq.
Oh
Went,
wow.
yeah, I went to Baghdad, went to Qatar, and just did like power production, just worked on generators there on
So
bases.
this is after the collapse of Saddam Hussein, and then and
Yeah,
that's okay.
yeah.
So what was just not to get too deep into it, but what was that like being in Baghdad and being like that's wild.
It was it was crazy. It was definitely like I just remember being there and being like, why are we here?
Yeah,
You know, it was
definitely.
sad.
Yeah,
Like it made me think like, what if there was another country just in our patrolling our streets, you know?
I think the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah. So it was an eye opener. I learned a lot there too, and it was just kind of like this is nuts. I feel bad. I mean, you see a lot of people that are kind of allies and they're on your side and they work with you, and you're just like, what would I do? What would I do if this, if I was in their situation? Would I be allies with them, or would I just be like, man, I want to get the heck out of here and
yeah.
away from them and want them out?
Such a weird situation to be in.
Yeah. I remember I was out there. This is how I knew it was time for me to go. So, first day I get there, we start doing some work, we go to bed, and then just like sirens go off, IEDs come in, or whatever they're like
Yeah,
rockets,
yeah.
mortars come
Mortar,
in,
right? Or, yeah,
and I was just like, oh, this sucks. Okay, so like I lived through that, and then after about a year and a half, I'm working on this generator out in this field somewhere by the air base, and same thing, more like more rockets or mortars or whatever come in,
yeah.
and it just starts spraying me with like dirt, and I'm just sweating, and I'm hiding behind this like generator, and that's when I was like, I think I'm ready to go home, and I want to work in the AC. Like, I'm done with this. So it wasn't long after that I packed it up and headed back to California.
Yeah, I have every so often on my iPhone, I'll look up Baghdad just to see like what the weather's like, and it gets nasty. It gets really hot, and I know they have a lot of like they have sandstorms and things that we're just not used to. I think maybe Arizona might have some sandstorms every so often, but okay, so you came back to California, and then were you because that's kind of like hazard pay that like that's it wasn't part of the military, but that's definitely I knew people that would go off as contractors. It was a decent way to make some good money, but it was also
Yeah.
scary, probably scary at times.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
no, it was great. It was great money. Came back and got back in touch with my wife. So I've known her my whole life. She's
oh,
Romanian. Our families have known each other since Romania, and she had been there for like my me and my family when my mom passed, and so we just kind of reconnected during that time frame. And I kind of started pursuing her. I was like, I think I'm ready to settle down. I've done a lot. I've saved a little bit of money. Like I think I'm ready. So I started pursuing her, and then the economy crashed. It was 2008, and like
oh
I couldn't
yeah,
I couldn't find any work.
that
I was
was
like,
terrible. I was in the furniture business. It was awful. It was terrible.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I remember just like applying to all these jobs that I thought I could get, and then like just kind of lowering my standards lower and lower, and just nothing was panning out. And finally she was like, why don't you go back to school? I ended up going back to school, going to pharmacy school in Texas. Well, I started with, the basics because I graduated high school with a 1.6.
Yeah.
So I had to go back to like math one. I was in there with all the football players, like, yeah, here we go.
But you weren't, so did you and she move to Texas prior to going to school in Texas, or did you find a school that was in Texas and that?
So I was in California for a little bit and then nothing was panning out. And her sister and her brother-in-law were here in Texas.
Okay.
And they hit me up and they were like, hey man, like, what are you doing? Like, are you working? I know you're trying to get married to Rox, you're trying to pursue her and this and that, but like, what's going on? And I said, man, I don't know. Like, nothing's really panning out. And they're like, why don't you come out here and just kind of get out of the spotlight with my soon to be father-in-law, because it's not looking too good. And I was like, why would I go to Texas? Like I didn't understand it at the time. I just kind of thought about it and I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of nice. Like I've heard good things about Texas. I want to go to Texas and check it out and just kind of see what's going on. So ended up coming to Texas. They kind of coaxed me out here and then yeah, I just started going to school.
We're in Texas.
Athens, Texas. I went to TVCC.
Where is Athens? Where that's
Athens is about an hour and a half from Dallas,
okay.
southeast. It's like 10,000 people.
Okay.
Something
Did
like that.
At that point, did you ever have any inkling that you would have this fondness for Texas or the cooking of Texas and the food in Texas and all that?
So no, I didn't. I went there strictly to go to school and in hopes that I would get my college done and marry this girl,
Yeah.
my wife. So while I was, here we go, leeway, how I got into barbecue. While I was in college, I had this little dinky apartment and my brother-in-law had a Weber kettle and he wasn't using it. He had ended up buying like a propane, gas barbecue grill. And he was
Yeah.
just like, I said, hey man, let me get that little charcoal grill off you. And he was like, okay. And so I ended up watching a video by, gosh, what's their name? Barbecue, is it Barbecue Pit Boys or something?
Yeah, there's something like that. I think they're huge, like they on their in
Yeah,
their own world. Yeah, yeah. I think
like
so.
these old timers. I just stumbled upon this like video of this guy who was just like giving thumbs up to everything. He had this big white beard, and he cooked a rack of baby back ribs, and I was like, "Whoa, I could do that. I think I could do that." So I did, and beginner's luck, man, they turned out amazing. I remember biting into them and just being like,
Oh,
"What
that's
in the
so
world? This is crazy. They're so tender." And so that was it. That was it. I was hooked. I was hooked
wow.
from that moment on. I was like, what else can I cook on this Weber kettle? What else can I do? Yeah, just kind of escalated from there.
Were you going to eat at any barbecue places around there? Were there any places around there that, or were you ever traveling around, or did like how did the bug get even deeper?
No, I didn't. What did I see? I remember seeing videos. I didn't really travel around or go to different places until years later. So this was probably what, 2008, 9, 10. I don't know. There wasn't really much.
Yeah.
There were some places. I think there was actually a place in Athens. It's closed down now. I don't remember the name of it. I think, oh, Cripple Creek. I think it was Cripple Creek Barbecue. They were on the list at one point.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I heard the name. The name sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went there because it was local, but I didn't know about all these spots in the list really. So
Yeah.
I just was watching YouTube videos and trying to cook.
And
And
2009 is sort of the Franklin time. Like that's when things
yeah,
started to change. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So then you
So
were just more focused on creating a life for yourself, and
right.
then was that school, was that to become a pharmacist? Was that specifically the
I was
school?
I was actually pre-dental at the time. I was going to go be a dentist.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then I met this girl who was at my church at the time, and she was like, "Hey, I just bought this pharmacy from this guy who's retiring, and he has like 6 pharmacies. He needs to sell." And I was like, "I kind of like the sound of that, dude. I wanna own. That sounds cool." So she's like, "Why don't you come meet him and see, if it all pans out?" So I ended up meeting the guy, and we hit it off, and he was great. And he was just like, "Yeah, why don't you come work for me?" I was like, "Okay." And then I just
Wow.
kind of yeah, I just kind of felt like everything was opening up in pharmacy. Like the university that I transferred to was opening up a pharmacy school set for right when I graduated, so I wouldn't have to really move. I just rolled right in. So ended up going into pharmacy instead.
Wow, that's really crazy. It's such an issue. So then do you own your own pharmacy?
No, so I was gonna go work for them when I graduated. It was all set, but I had one more. Fourth year, you go on these rotations. I had one more rotation, which was a nuclear pharmacy. And I ended up going to the nuclear pharmacy, hit it off with the guys there, and they offered me a job there before I graduated. So I ended up telling, my owners and friends, I was like, man, I feel called to really just take this job, and I hope I'm not burning any bridges. I hope we can keep
Yeah.
our relationship, and we did, and we're still friends to this day. But yeah, I just didn't go that route.
What's nuclear pharmacy?
It's pretty cool. You take like nuclear generators, and then you take off nuclear isotopes, and you match them to medications. So like
Okay.
whenever somebody wants to do like a stress test, like a heart stress test or something like that, they'll put like a medicine inside of them that they'll be able to see and isolate just that organ. So
Wow.
like, yeah, we just did a bunch of stuff where we match up like nuclear isotopes to like medicine so that people can map out different organs and see how they're functioning.
So are you more of a scientist, or do you make do you make medicine for people, or is it, or that's considered making medicine for people?
Yeah, that's considered making medicine for people. I'm not a nuclear pharmacist anymore. I've since moved on from there, but
Okay.
yeah, I'm not like in research or anything like that. I'm strictly just retail, pretty
Okay.
much.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So like my friendly pharmacist at CVS that I go to every 2 days.
that's it. Yeah, I'm your druggist, as the older folks call me. Are you
Druggist,
a
yeah.
druggist? I'm like, yeah, that's it.
I grew up next to a guy who had his own pharmacy. And so he would, like, if we were sick or something, my parents, like, if I would talk to him and he'd bring home antibiotics for him or for us,
Nice.
or like if they need pain med, whatever it was, he would just bring it home. It was just like Stan would come and
That's crazy.
but I didn't know what Stan did. But I
Right.
realized later on he had owned a pharmacy and he sold it before he got sick and stuff. But what it's interesting, it's a whole thing. And because I've taken care of my mom for 5 or 6 years, I've now realized the importance of pharmacies and just how people come. Like a lot of times when people come, they're irritated because they're sick or not feeling well, and they don't understand that the doctor has this other. It just seems like there's always an argument every day in a pharmacy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, man, it would make the greatest TV show. It's nuts in there.
Yeah, I thought of that too. I'm like, gosh, this is because it's and if all and what's so funny is I'll walk in and like seven of them will go, hey Kevin, and I'm like, it's like cheers, but like at a
Yeah.
pharmacy for me. It's so sad that all the pharmacists know me, but
Oh yeah.
they
I
also
mean,
know I'm taking care of
yeah.
my mom though. What are you gonna do? Okay, so then, how did you get deeper into the barbecue world? Did you end
So
up getting a pit or something, or?
no, I didn't end up getting a pit. So I was still just in college and just broke, man. I mean, the college journey for pharmacy is long, especially
Yeah,
when
I
you're
know, I can
starting
imagine.
at math one. So I was just broke forever. And I remember just like, man, I remember messaging people like Danes when they were just first starting out, being like, what size pit is that? And just watching YouTube videos and stuff and just daydreaming of my first real pit. And I didn't get a first real pit till years ago when I just built my own. I was like, I can't
Wow.
afford a pit. So, and I didn't know how to weld or anything. I was like, that's it. I'm just gonna build one. So I ended up going to this propane tank place down the road, and they had like two 50s just for free that were decommissioned. And I was like, can I get those? So they delivered them to me. I watched a couple YouTube videos, borrowed a welder,
Wow.
built a smoker.
See, I think like you had said before, this all harkens back to your time at the military, kind of giving you the belief in yourself that you could do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's a great takeaway in general from this, but in life is that if you want to do something, just because you don't have the funds or you can make something work if you figure things out and don't have to
Absolutely.
quit
Yeah.
your day job to do this. Yeah.
Firm believer in that for sure. Yeah.
Wow.
So
How was that pit? How was it? How was that process? Was it
it
did you
was it was cool. I built it at my in-laws. My in-laws actually ended up moving out to Texas,
of course.
and they live like 10 minutes away from me. So they have this big like 4 bay shop. So I built it in there. And I remember just everyone just being like, wonder if he's gonna get it done, kind of almost like, when are you gonna finish this thing? Because I just took my time with it, and I was
Yeah.
watching Franklin videos and anything else I could watch on YouTube again. And
Yeah,
finally
because
got it
Chud didn't
done.
have his whole building a
Yeah,
pit videos at all. Yeah.
yeah, there wasn't much, so I
Yeah.
finally got it done, and they were just like, "Wow, I can't believe you did it." And neighbors were like, "I thought you were gonna blow yourself up." I was like, "Man, I thought so too, but luckily I didn't." So here we go.
Wow. And then what was that like that first cook on it? Was that it must have been a cool feeling.
Oh, it was insane. It was insane. I had no idea what I was doing. All the videos in the world couldn't prepare you. I mean,
Yeah.
you had an inkling, but still just actually being there and putting a full size split in this big firebox and all that. It was just it was the greatest feeling in the world. I felt like I had made it. I was like, this is
Yeah.
it, man. This is it. I can now post pictures of like a real pit, you know? It
And
felt
well,
great.
yeah, well, true. And you know what? You kind of did at the time. Like you made it
Oh
for,
yeah.
that's a huge step. Huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cool.
I don't interview a lot of people that have made their own pits. There's a handful, and we probably all know who they are. But it's just that's really cool. I didn't know that you had built your own pit. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So then, were you then making stuff for parties and for friends, or just
Yeah.
cooking?
I started just doing stuff for friends and family, giving stuff to people like as gifts and, I got good reviews on it and whatnot. But I don't know, I still just was trying to find my way with it all because I still had this tug like bring Romanian into it, bring Romanian influence into it. And I couldn't for the life of me figure it out. Like I couldn't do it. I couldn't visualize it.
Figure out how it mixed, how it blended. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just felt like people are not going to like Romanian food. It's like, who's going to like garlic and vinegar, Like,
Yeah. Two
it's
of the things that everyone loves.
right.
But yeah, no,
Not,
I can see that, and I want to. Part of one of my questions is, what is Romanian food like? And I would think maybe it's like because I've had food from Eastern Europe, and so I think I would know, but that's something. So what is Romanian food like?
yeah, probably similar to what you had in Eastern Europe. Heavy potato, heavy meat, a lot of pickled stuff, a lot of canned stuff. Poor people food, just whatever you could do because that's what we had during communism. It was like, man, whatever you could get your hands on, however
Yeah.
you could repurpose something or save it, that's how we cooked.
Mm.
So
But it looks like when I see what you're posting, looks like amazing spices, amazing. You've maybe you've brought it to maybe it's even. Is it more like old world Romanian that you're pulling from?
yeah, I'm definitely
Okay.
trying to pull old world Romanian and trying to make it a little twist, a little modern, trying to make it more appealing through the lens of Instagram to people just because again, I
Yeah.
still have that doubt of like it's gonna look like slop, like it's gonna look like just meat and potatoes on a plate, you know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
trying to relate it to people, trying to make it look attractive to people and just hopefully people will be
Yeah.
drawn to it.
Yeah, I know. I was actually laying in bed last night thinking like you can't just go into a business these days like to open a restaurant and think I'm gonna hide in the back and cook and I'm just gonna put whatever on the plate and then let it go out even if it like even if it's delicious if it looks like a mess people like would be mad like it would just
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah,
we
I
live in
agree.
a different time like you have to make everything presentable. It's sad but it's also it does make sense and it's probably elevated maybe our
Right.
taste in
Right.
food with the way we look at things. But so then at that time because now you're heavy into direct heat and whole hog like that's like you have such a passion. I don't want to talk about that. How did that come about? Where did you go on some trips or something or did like or go to some
So
festivals or
So that came about. I saw this episode of Mind of a Chef. It was with Sean Brock and narrated a little bit by Anthony Bourdain. And
yeah,
it
I
was
remember that
season
now.
two. Yeah, season two, episode 7. They did Sean Brock and Rodney Scott, and they did a low country boil where they did a whole hog. This was probably 10 years ago,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
They did a
I think
whole
so.
hog, a low country boil, and then like a paella, and it blew my mind. Like it is what shaped me into wanting to do whole hog.
Wow.
And I just remember being like, one day when I graduate, I'm gonna have my own backyard, and I'm gonna have a big party with all my friends, and I'm gonna have a whole hog. Like that was the goal.
Oh wow.
And I remember just telling all my friends, like, one day we're gonna do whole hog. We're gonna do whole hog.
And they're probably like, what?
Yeah. And I just remember like I didn't have the means to do whole hog. I didn't know where to get a pig. I didn't have a pit for it. There weren't many videos on it, and the ones that there were, like it was all like a competition hog or something like that. It just didn't
Oh, that's
appeal to
not
me. I don't know, man. I just started picking it up little by little, YouTube here and there, and then just like anybody that would cook a hog, I would go want to go hang out with them. Like Danes came and did a hog here at Red Dirt, and I was like, hey man, can I come watch and help and whatever? And I watched them cook a hog, and I ended up going to the Carolinas a few times and cooking with those guys and just making connections there and whatnot. And just started diving in, but it all just started from that one episode, and it was just like I gotta cook a whole hog.
isn't that funny how something can shape you that way?
Yeah, it's insane. I never knew the impact that episode was going to have on me until just like looking and thinking back on it. It was like, wow, it really changed my whole mindset on barbecue.
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. And it showed you. the opportunities and the possibilities of what people can do.
Right.
And at the time too, like there's not a ton of people doing the whole hog, but that wasn't that like I know that Fegis was doing it, like Leroy Lewis, like there wasn't a whole lot of people doing whole hog at the time, or
Right.
even half hogs or anything like that.
Right.
When you went to the Carolinas, did you? Because I've seen photos of you. Was that later on? Like, did you go there for? Did you travel around first and get to know them, or how?
So I ended up just making connections through Instagram, man, to people that work there. I met this guy. His name was Hunter. He is a kiddo. He's like 20 something years old. He's still there at Skylight Inn Barbecue. And
Okay.
he just messaged me randomly and he was like, "Hey, I work at Skylight. I see that you're into cooking hogs. You're in Texas." I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, just telling me, we just started chatting. And then one day the light bulb clicked and I was like, "Hey, man, would I be able to come out there and cook with y'all?" And just like learn. Like I'll collect logs, I'll do whatever, I'll do the dirty work, I don't care. I just want to learn from
That's
like a
so smart.
James Beard Award, restaurant. And he was like, "Let me talk to my manager." I was like, "Sure." Talks to his manager. His manager's like, "Yeah, man, come on out." So I
That's
just
awesome.
booked it to the Carolinas and made connections with those guys there, and they just been super super nice, super cool with me. And I just
So you stay in Aden at the time? Is that where?
Yeah, so check this out. So the only, not the only way, but the way that I do this so that I can continue to do this and not just like waste crazy funds and have my wife be mad at me is I zip down there. It's like 17 hours from here. I zip down there. I sleep in my car at rest stops. And then I cook for like 8 hours. I zip back and then just sleep again at the rest stop and then make it home. So I do it all in like a weekend.
That is awesome. That's so cool. But it's also too, that's a shrine. That's like people want to go to Louis Miller. That's a big deal. There's a lot of play, but that not a lot. There's a handful, but that place, the Skylight Inn, that's somewhere I want to go. That seeing the firewood there, seeing the way, and then hearing the cacophony of the way they chop meat. That must
Yeah.
have been infectious and amazing. And what an experience.
Yeah, it was nuts. So the reason I ended up wanting to go there was when I graduated from pharmacy school, my wife was like, "Let's just take some time off. Like don't get right into work. Let's take some time off and just travel around the world." So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Sure." So we ended up, I think that's when COVID hit. So there goes traveling around the world. So we're like, let's just travel around the US. It was like 2019. Yeah. And so we just traveled around the US and I ended up going to Skylight and I remember taking a bite and I was like, "What in the world?" I had no idea hog could taste this good and this tender.
Hmm.
It blew my mind. So I had to go back. I had to find a way to get there and cook with those guys and learn from them. And yeah, I got to do that. And then I got to do Rodney Scott's and
Did
it's
you
just,
work? So you worked at Rodney's once too, right?
yeah, yeah. That was
Wow.
cool. Through the manager that I met there, he had some connection there and just, yeah.
Were Rodney or Sam at there when you were there at any time, or was it just at the place?
Sam wasn't, Rodney was.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rodney
Rodney.
was talking to some guy, and so I didn't want to interrupt, but I did interrupt. I was like, "Dude, really sorry. Can I just at least have a picture?"
Oh, it's Rodney Scott.
Yeah.
He's got a great smile. He's such a cool,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
a cool
Really
dude.
nice guy.
Yeah, what a nice dude. That's crazy. Okay, so that was during COVID time. And for me, and a lot of people don't know this, is that my first real introduction into barbecue that was outside of California, which was more like direct heat ribs that were, or maybe who knows how they were cooking the food. But I was at Lexington Barbecue in Lexington, North Carolina. It was just so different, and the way that you ordered was different. Everything was just, and then once I came back, then I started to want to get into barbecue and go to barbecue whenever I traveled for across the United States. And then that's how I got into Texas barbecue and realized that's a whole other Texas barbecue is crazy. Like, so yeah, so definitely
That's cool.
I'm glad you had that appreciation and that you had a chance to do that. So then when you came back, so this isn't, so like your window of whole hogness, I guess like it's not, it's like 3 years or 4 years, right? It's
Yeah.
like yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's fairly new. Yeah, so I just started cooking whole hog and I started doing it on pits, like cinder block pits.
Okay.
I was cooking hogs from Costco. Costco business has whole hogs, like 30 to 60 pounders. And I
Wow.
was cooking, yeah, cooking those guys.
I didn't know.
And they're not the best hogs. They're not the worst hogs, but not the best hogs. But I started cooking on those guys and just doing little pop-ups and stuff and getting good reviews. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And then I ended up getting in touch with this girl, Anne Marie.
I have like I screenshotted that today because I wanted to ask you about her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's awesome, dude. She's so cool.
Her Instagram's really cool. So I'll put her information below because people should follow her. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone should definitely follow her. She's amazing. She's like 5 foot nothing, 80 pounds, and she's this like insane farmer girl that's just tough as nails, dude.
That's
Like
awesome.
I went there and I was like hooking up my smoker, and at the time I had like my hand was broken or something, and I was unloading my smoker or whatever, and she just comes over and like kicks it into place and locks it up for me. I was like, thanks, like appreciate you. But she's great, dude. She has like the best pork I've ever had. She has heritage breed hogs that she raises, and she is just like she like doesn't yell at the pigs, like doesn't hurry them. Like they're raised like Wagyu cattle, man.
So
And it's
smart.
like it's evident in the like the fat on them. It's just
You
amazing.
said I think the word I had written down was marshmallow. You had said something about marshmallow.
I call them marshmallow hogs because they're just so fatty and sweet
Uh,
and just like tender. It's like every time I cook one, I've cooked with the Rosemeyer guys, and I remember we were setting up the deal, and I was like, man, we got it. I know it's a little bit more, but we got to get one of her hogs. Like they're mind blowing, and they all tried it, and they were just like, whoa, dude, I never knew. I never knew. I was like, I'm telling you, there's
Interesting.
levels to whole hog.
She's in Texas, right?
Yeah, she's in Texas. She's in Hook, Texas.
Where's
It's
that?
about like right near Texarkana, right on the
Okay.
border. Yeah,
Okay. And didn't you do an event at her place? Are you going to do an event or something? Yeah.
I did. Yeah, she was like, hey, she does little like farm to table events on her farm on her property there. It's not little, it's a big piece of property, but
Yeah.
she does farm to table stuff there. And she was like, I had never cooked one of my hogs like whole hogs. I've done chops and this and that. And she was like, would you be interested in doing it? I was like, absolutely, absolutely, I would. So went there and cooked a pig on the farm and just met so many cool people that just
Oh,
that she had built up in her circle and her community, and
that's
it was a
killer.
treat.
Yeah, definitely. Like I would love to, because hopefully eventually my time will be, I'll be able to travel. And I would, next time, do you think you'll be doing another event there someday in the future, or who knows? Or
Yeah, yeah, absolutely,
okay,
absolutely. Yeah, if you're ever out, man, you got to come out.
I
We
know.
got to get you on some whole hog from Anne Marie.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I can't. And does she sell to a lot of people? Like, or is it just? Do you know? Is
Yeah,
this or is it more across the border or?
yeah, she does. She does all sorts of stuff. She has a little like storefront there. She sells all sorts of products, and then she was telling me recently that she's going to start getting into like charcuterie stuff. She found someone that's going to
Oh,
be
cool.
doing that and processing her pigs and doing that. So
Wow.
she's she's just small enough, but just big enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's really growing.
You get a chance to spend some time with the pigs? Like, do you get a? Have you? Are they around, or do you just see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
final
she's
product?
got
Yeah.
them there, man,
Oh,
out in the pasture, and like I went there and just saw the piggies and fed them pumpkins and stuff, and I actually told her like I want to go there and do like a photo shoot with the piggies, man. I,
yeah.
I want to put a picture of like I want a shirt of me and like the piggies just hanging out because
That would be
they're
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, pigs are awesome. Like they're amazing. That you didn't cook and that they couldn't see you cooking one of their
No,
friends,
no, no,
could
no,
they? Good, good.
no,
That's important. They don't need to
yeah,
see that.
no, no, no. I wouldn't do that. That's ruthless. No,
That is ruthless. I'm sure people do. I'm sure in the
yeah,
old days it was something. Oh wow,
right.
that's what a cool experience. So now, did you get so then from Mule Skinner? Did you get ended up getting a hog pit?
Yeah, so I had some people reach out to me. I had just some people reach out and ask if I wanted to be an ambassador for them and cook me or build me a hog pit, and I was just like, I'm good, thank you, I'm good, thank
Yeah,
you. And then Mule Skinner reached out, and I was just like, yeah, I really like Dustin. I really align
Dustin's
myself with
awesome.
him. Yeah, just who he is as a person.
Yeah,
He had come out to some of my events, so I got to know him a little bit more. And when he had mentioned that to me, it just kind of clicked. I was like, yeah, this is I like this. I like this. It
yeah.
fits. I definitely want to align myself with him. So
And
yeah, he
he's kind of like you, like the very like he's very hands on.
yeah, yeah, that's one thing we had discussed. He was just like, man, I really like that you built your own pit. And I told him, I was like, this is one thing that like I'm gonna I don't want to regret. Like I don't want to regret getting a pit from someone instead of building my own, because
Yeah,
I was just very proud of being able to say that I did it myself. So
yeah,
it was a big, big step for me to be like, yeah, someone else do it for me.
yeah. How many times have you cooked on that?
I've had it for about a year now, so I've done probably 2 to 3 events a month on it.
Yeah.
I've cooked plenty of pigs. It's seen plenty of
Yeah.
pigs. Yeah. But it's a good pit, man. I call it the Cadillac of direct heat cookers.
All right.
It's such a perfect pit. It's not too bulky, too heavy, too overbuilt, but it's not too flimsy. Like it's just right up my alley on design too. That's what I love about his design. It's perfect. It's classic yet modern yet sturdy and just designed really well. I love it.
You could tell that Dustin did it. Like that's for some reason, maybe it's I'm too like hyper focused into pits and stuff, but I can tell when I see a pit, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that I know that's a mule skinner.
Yeah, and he's so cool, man. He was like, "We're gonna name the direct heat pits like that line after you." So he named him the Dan,
Oh,
and I was just
cool.
like, "Yeah," I was like, I gotta go with this guy. Like, of course, this guy's amazing."
Yeah, he is. And he's a family man and no, he's a stud. He's a cool guy. So then that's what you're doing now. You're doing it. Is it Mosu or is that what your company's
So
called?
Moshu, yeah, Moshu
Moshu.
is
Okay.
that was my nickname growing up for my uncles. I guess Moshu translated means like old man, and so I guess as a kid I looked like an old man, and that's what they called me.
Moshu.
Uh,
You're
Moshu, yeah,
that's hilarious.
yeah. So that's my little like passion project. That was like my desire to kind of be faceless on Instagram and also just pour everything into just the cooking and have
Yeah.
that be the star and not me and not have a face and just kind of focus on Romanian food and hog cooking.
And so is that well, it's spelled Mosu just for people to know. And then is that so then if someone was to contact you for an event that they're having, do they contact you through that or does it matter? I guess they call you contact you either way, but
Yeah,
is that the
either
company is that the company that is that your catering company essentially?
no, David Dan. I'm still going. I'm still doing a bunch through David Dan.
Okay.
But yeah, either they can contact me through either.
Okay.
It don't matter. It's all on my phone. It's all right there, a click
Yeah.
away. So yeah.
But do you think so is that going to be is Moshu is that going to be something that moves forward as something else or is that going to always be what it is or how do you foresee things?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It kind of all just started on a whim one night. I was like, I'm gonna do this thing, and I'm tired of Instagram and having to post, and I just want to be faceless, and I don't want
No, I understand.
people to know. I just want food. I just want food to be the star, and
Yeah.
I've kind of just haven't done much with it as of now or lately, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna do, but it's definitely just gonna be focused on like Romanian food, barbecue, and whole hog specifically.
Will you be doing pop-ups eventually or is like so that people because right now the only way someone can eat your foods if they came to an event that you're doing, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Right now, luckily, I've been busy enough to where I can just be selective with what events I want to do.
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten pretty busy, so yeah, if people want to reach out to me, they can reach out to me, or they can look out for pop-ups or collabs. I've done stuff with Hurtado, with Trays. Definitely in talks to do a bunch of really cool big stuff this year. I might be going overseas
Oh,
internationally
really?
and teaching
Really?
classes. Yeah, got some fun stuff in the pipeline. Definitely doing like festivals, some festival stuff. I might do something with like the mill scale guys at Treaty Oak.
Oh, cool.
So just kind of just really being selective. Like I kind of I'll do the stuff that like people want to do, but I also want to do stuff that will definitely promote me.
And it's nice too because you're not because you have a second job, you have a primary job, so you're not tied to that part. So you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do. That's
Right.
really cool, and that gives you a chance to really express yourself and to grow, and figure out what you want to do. But you're always going to be cooking. I just want I want to try your hog. And so what was that like? I've always wondered what that first hog cook because it's a big piece, and even though you got it from Costco, were you scared? Were you worried? Were you excited? What was
No, I wasn't. I felt like I had dived so deep into it, and I have done. I went to the Carolinas and
Oh, that's
stuff.
true.
I was
Okay.
just ready. I was so ready. I was
Okay.
like, "Come on, man!" And people were just like, "I don't know, Dave. I don't know." Like, because we just went and did a pop up here at the brewery in town with Alec from Big Daddy Carne and
Oh,
Russell of Picos, and they were just like, "I don't know, Dave. Are you sure?" And I was like, "Man, let's just do it, dude. Come on, let's do it." So it went well. I mean, it went really well.
so you're that well, and it's you have it seems like, but I think that was always in you, even though you say the military did. I think it just brought it out in you. I think
Yeah.
that's the kind of person you are. Now, can you other places? Oh yeah, I want to talk about your brisket department. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I've always liked the guys there. I had bought a couple things from them, but Brisket Department basically they were just guys that were willing to support guys in the barbecue community, and I was all about it. I liked what they stood for. I liked how they were supportive of me and always sharing my stuff. And they came and helped me at my events, man. Like it's so huge to have someone just come and help you because I'm getting off work at 4 or 5 or 6 on Fridays, and then I'm going straight to an event, no sleep, cooking a whole hog, and then like serving it, and then driving back. Like it's insane.
Yeah,
And so there have been so many times where these guys were just like, "Hey, we're going to come out and help you. Like we'll come out
wow,
and help you. You don't
that's
have to
huge.
pay us nothing. Just we want to be part of what you're doing." And I was like, "That's awesome, man. That is amazing that the barbecue community is like that."
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So I had just been chatting with them and they were like, "Yeah, we do stuff for we print shirts for all these big names and yada yada." And they were just like, "Do you want to be on the crew? Do you want us to print for you?" And I was like, "What does it entail? Let's go over some details." And then when they told me like I wouldn't have to do anything, I was like, sold, man,
Yeah,
sold. Of course, absolutely. You guys are great guys, and I don't have to do any work. And then you just send me a little bit of money
yeah, that's
here and there, like I'm in.
yeah,
So
yeah. I'll put a link to that below because I just received a sweatshirt and it's killer. And I actually yesterday, which was awesome. Like I'm glad that I got
yeah,
and then I got the hat and it's just and the style is so it's killer. It's great.
yeah. Oh, shameless plug, real quick. Robbie's gonna kill me if I don't do it. Go buy the go buy the shirts that we printed up. The David Dan's Whole Hog Barbecue shirts, Tyler, Texas. If anybody's listening, go get that shirt. It's pretty sweet. And then I think we're gonna start dropping shirts like once a month, like different styles. So
Yeah, I think
people,
I just saw it. It was that white shirt with the yeah,
yeah,
that's killer. I'm gonna buy one of
dog, yeah,
myself too, so that's cool. Okay,
cool.
awesome. Okay, that's awesome. That's good to know. And then, buy stuff from David, but also buy stuff from other people, like it's or whatever else they have to offer. I didn't even go deeper. I guess there's probably more stuff they have to offer.
Yeah, so they have their own line of stuff, and then they also help guys in the barbecue
Gotcha.
community because
Okay.
they basically like print and design stuff. And so along
Smart.
the way, they're going to help people print and design stuff for themselves and just kind of sell it for them.
That's rad. So why do you love direct heat cooking so much? Like what is it
And
and what is it about the shovel and the coals? And I love that photo. I'll put the photo below. Maybe I'll put it on top of us. I love that photo so much. Okay, go on.
so I love offset. I fell in love with offset smoking and cooking, and I love it. But that direct heat is just it's so different, man. I love it because it's more hands-on. Like if I'm doing a brisket cook, I'm adding a couple splits here and there, right? Every 30, 40 minutes, whatever. Not opening up the doors really. I'm just letting the brisket sit in there. If I'm doing a pig, man, I'll tell you what. I'm cooking that pig. I'm looking at that pig. I'm touching it. I'm moving the bones. I'm wiggling it. I'm probing it. I have people come up and they want to see the pig. Like it's just such a showstopper, man.
Mhm.
And it's just it's like the best cook ever. And on top of that, you get flavors you don't get with an offset. Like you get that char, you get that crisp. We did some ribs at this last cook with Trey, and he was like, "These were the best ribs I've ever had in my life." I was like,
Really?
"I'm telling you, direct heat can't be beat. Like it is so dang good. Chicken, sausage, ribs, whole hog, like pretty much anything but brisket. I haven't done a brisket on it yet, but I want to try that too. I
Yeah,
want to
you
try
should.
direct heat, but like it's just so dang good, man. And
Yeah.
then like it's just so hands on, and it's so much more interactive and fun. I think.
Yeah. And it's also it's like I don't know, I think it's the proper word, instinctual. It's something there's
Yeah.
something like innate in us as
Right.
humans to want to cook and to be around fire and coals and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Uh,
lot more fun, like getting to shovel the coals and sprinkle them and move them around and actually manage it as opposed to just kind of like putting a log on and this and that. And I'm not bad mouthing, offset
oh no,
smoking.
no,
Nobody
there's
gets upset. I love that too. I love cooking like that. But for me, like I just love I fell in love with that direct heat, man. I just love it.
yeah,
It's
because
shorter cook times too. I mean, it's so good. It's so
yeah.
good.
How long does it take to cook a hog?
Depending on the weight. So what I calculate normally is 1 hour per every 10 pounds.
Okay.
Give or take. You
Yeah.
can you can bump up temps and cook faster, but on average, something like that.
Are you flipping it? Is that something that has to happen during the process? I haven't really been around that many whole hog cooks.
So I started doing hog cooks where I flipped. And then I kind of moved away from that, just because I don't really think it's necessary. Some people love it. Some people like to cook meat side down and then flip it. But I don't think it's necessary. I just, the less work I can do in that and having to flip, the better. Because once you start getting into some of these big hogs, it's a pain.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So
It's interesting. But I guess if you did it on cinder blocks, would you have to flip or no?
yeah, I had done it on that too, and I actually found a really cool way to flip hogs. So it's really hard to reach over on cinder
Yeah.
blocks. I found that if you get the pig to about 140 internal, where everything starts to tighten up, and then you stick a rebar under one side, like under one shoulder and one leg, and just lift it, the pig will be tight enough where the whole pig will just like flip over.
Ah, mhm.
And so you're actually just using a little bit of leverage instead of like trying to manhandle this huge pig.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Yeah.
flip it on the blocks too.
Do you have a burn barrel?
Yeah, I got a little burn barrel I just made by myself, and
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's so primal. It's so great. I love that so much. Is there anything that we missed or anything that you want people to know about you? Because as I had mentioned, you're kind of an enigma. People see what you're doing. You're doing awesome stuff. It's always fantastic. And then
appreciate
it's
it.
like, where did he come from? What did he do? Like, how does this? And
Yeah.
then, so is there anything that you want people to know?
Yeah, I think the one thing I want people to know is that my whole goal, my whole objective with barbecue is to really love on people. Like I love encouraging people. And I know this may sound cheesy and cliche, but like honestly, like when I'm on Instagram and everything, I'm just like encouraging people because I love people.
Yeah.
I love getting people encouraged. I love like giving people hope, and that's the whole reason I do what I do. And my other goal is to just spread the whole hog gospel. Like I'm trying to go throughout Texas and be the authority on hog and overseas to Brazil and wherever else it may lead me. I really want to just do that because man, it's a showstopper. It's a party. It's so fun to just gather around and have it. Like even the kiddos, like I said, they're just like, "Where are the eyeballs?" I'm like, "Get in there, boy!" Like it's just so fun,
Yeah,
man.
no, it's
So
great.
that's my thing. It's just I love to just give people hope and encourage people and love on them, and then I love to just spread the whole hog gospel, man.
Well, you're doing it, and that's also something that I have noticed is when I post things or whatever. I always there's something about like the way that you interact with me and my posts. It makes because because I've had some not dark times, but I've had some really stressful times, and I'm kind of trapped in this help this world of caregiving, which is fine. I'm okay with that, but it's your no your positivity has really helped me out a lot and
I
your
appreciate that, man.
enthusiasm. And it's so I want at least to let you know it's touched this one guy for sure. So I
You're
appreciate
so
it.
sweet.
And
Thank you for that.
yeah, and I also I just love what you're posting, and I know I love your positivity, and that's killer. That's I'm excited for your journey, and I want people to follow along. And that's that. I'm so glad that you took the time and that we were able to take the time again to make it happen because this
Really
is
appreciate
great.
you,
Yeah,
man.
this is really
That
great.
was
And I
that
should
hit me, dude. That hit
I,
me. Thank you very much.
you're a good dude, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, there's only good things ahead. And yeah, have a good evening, and cool. We'll hopefully see each other very soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Take
Have a
care.
good night.
You as well. Bye.